Hey y'all, it is so hard to believe, but it is already June and we are halfway through 2025. So I figured this was the perfect time to come on here and do a mid-year debt payoff update. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm the humble Henry. I am a high earner, not rich yet, here to humbly share my financial journey with you. Really, my goal for this video is just to share where I started with my debt journey, where I am now, and then my plan for paying it off completely. If you're new here, welcome. I am on the path to being debt-free again, and I'm sharing every step in the process in hopes that it encourages you too. So at the start of the year, at the beginning of 2025, I was in about $11,000 of debt between some credit card debt and a small personal loan. That number did feel heavy. Not impossible, but definitely heavy. I'd racked up most of that debt from moving, from some traveling, and honestly some unnecessary shopping and eating out. And after having previously been debt-free in like late 2023, early 2024, this was a little bit discouraging for me. I knew that something had to shift, not just in my budget, but in my mindset. Like I really wanted to change my habits around shopping and spending money. So I committed to facing it head on, not just with a plan, but with some grace, understanding that there's gonna be mistakes made along the way. But let me tell y'all, I'm so happy to say that that number is no longer 5 figures. Yeah. As of today, the total balance for my debt is around $5,100. So I am definitely making progress. It's obviously not zero yet, but it sure enough is not $11,000 either. That difference did not happen overnight, but it did happen with consistency, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more. So one of the big reasons that I have made so much progress is that I cut down my credit card usage by like a good 80 to 90%. And you might be thinking, well, duh, your credit card balance went down when you stopped using your credit card. But here's the thing. I was one of those people who used to say, oh, I use my credit card like a debit card and I put everything on it and I pay it off every month for the points. Yeah, that was how it started. But what I found was that I was initially paying it off fully every month, but then I just started kind of paying off the majority of it, and there was still a little bit that was gaining interest every month, and that started to give me a tummy ache. I also realized that the tools that our credit card companies use to get us to spend more money were working on me, right? Like I could suddenly justify this extra $100 dress because, well, I'm getting the points and I have 5% cash back. Or I can suddenly justify, this extra birthday dinner or this extra thing because, well, at least I'm getting the points. At least I'm getting the points. Meanwhile, if I had to take that same amount of money out of my wallet in cash, it would have been a lot less likely that I would have spent with the frequency and the intensity that I was spending. I switched to using mostly cash or my debit card for the majority of my purchases. Really, that one is going to work every time. That is why it is a classic tip, because when you have to start handing over that cash and you can see the available balance going down as you are making those choices, yeah, it's going to change your habits. Not to mention, when you don't have the money, you can't spend the money versus a credit card. My credit card limit was definitely enabling me to just kind of while out. To also help with my debt payoff, I did start working at my part-time job again. Yes, I do have a full-time job. Yes, I do make over $90,000 a year. And yes, I still felt like it was necessary to pick up that part-time job again. It was just a couple shifts on the weekends here and there, but it did help make a difference. One, I find that when I work a part-time job, I have less time to think about spending. I'm literally using my brain, using my hands to do something else. And then also that money I was able to, of course, put towards my debt. There were definitely some days where I was working 7 days in a row, 14 days in a row. Like, yes, it was exhausting and it was tiring, but it was important to me to know that I needed to push through to get to a goal. It was exhausting, but it also showed me what I'm capable of. And the choice reminded me that sometimes the sacrifice is not forever, but it's just for right now to get to the life that I want. When you are debt-free, you really just have so many more options. You have such a better say in your life, in your choices, and what you can do. And you have so much less anxiety, right? When you get your paycheck and it doesn't just dissolve overnight because everybody is snatching for the funds that you owe them, it's for me just such a tool for mental clarity and reduced anxiety that is just incredibly important to me. Something else that really helped on my journey to being debt-free is being open and honest with my friends about my goal. A goal of this channel is to really help normalize conversations around personal finance, around pay transparency, spend transparency. And so for me, I would tell my friends, like, just so y'all know, I am working on paying down some credit card debt at the moment. So I might have to say no to some things. However, we can clown at my place anytime. So I let them know that I'm working on being debt free, paying off the card, and that, sometimes I'm not going to be able to join the shenanigans. It's not personal if I miss one birthday and make another, but this is the situation. So sometimes I had to skip brunches, sometimes I had to skip the party, but it's not because I didn't want to be there, it's because I was just focused on my goals. And my friends get it. They all get it. Like, there was not really any pushback from anybody. And as I mentioned, I also try to offer alternatives when I can. So as an example, for Memorial Day, I hosted a little cookout at my place. And so everybody brought something. One of our friends did a big Costco run. We all pitched in. And it's a lot nicer than everybody going out to a party and then going out to eat or traveling somewhere. Love to be able to do those things, but this was not the year for that. So I was happy to host, bring everybody here, and keep the costs low for the entire group. Even if I am saying no to spending, I'm always almost going to say yes to connection and spending time with my people, just in a way that fits my life in this current season. Another thing that's been very important in my debt payoff journey is knowing what is negotiable and what is not. So for me, some things that were negotiable: beauty maintenance. Y'all see these naked nails. So nails, waxes, things that are part of a typical beauty maintenance routine sometimes had to just become a little DIY project. Sometimes it has to take a back seat. Eating out. You are always going to save more money on groceries than eating out. I know that a lot of people are like, groceries are so high. Like, no, you can get a bag of chicken and some eggs and make whatever you need to make at home, for a cost that is generally going to be cheaper than eating out. And especially if you're using DoorDash and food delivery services, it's time to start cooking at home. And then, as I mentioned before, travel. This was a big one for me. At the top of the year, a friend and I had really wanted to go to Italy this year, and I had to have a difficult conversation with her of, I know we've talked about going to Italy for a while. I know this is something we've really wanted to do, and I just don't see it being in the budget for me this year. As I've also mentioned in some previous videos, I'm in a little bit of a transitional place in my career right now. I don't have the most stability like I would love to have. And so even though, I'm young and I want to do whatever and I want to have a good time, it still comes to a point where you have to say no to things to be in a place of security and financial stability. I have a mortgage, so that's going to be my priority 9 times out of 10, really 11 times out of 10. There were some things that are non-negotiable for me. So it doesn't matter how high or how low my income is, I'm always going to tithe. Tithing is taking 10% of my increase, my earnings, and donating it to my church. That is very important to me. It's a biblical principle that I live by. And I truly believe that it is important to never have such a strong connection to your money that you can't imagine giving up 10%. I'm keeping 90. Like, I get the 90 and I just need to give up 10%. So my pastor always says it's a dime out of every dollar. So it's important for me because I never want to be so in love with my money. I never want to be so tight that I can't even fathom giving up 10%. And so that is a principle I always follow. And I truly believe that also following that principle, God knows that he can trust me with money. And I really never need it for anything. Like, even in this time of debt payoff and this time of frugality, there's lots of things that I want that I'm not getting. But every need is met, every bill is paid. And I know that as well, even in my job search, there's going to be a job for me that comes at the right time. Some other non-negotiables for me is obviously my credit card payments. I've discussed in a previous video that my biggest credit card balance is sitting on a 0% APR credit card, and I'm paying about $700 a month on it. Since it is 0% APR, it is not gaining interest. And there are times where I just think maybe I'll skip the payment this month and just keep the cash. No, like, that's hustling backwards. I need to be working towards a goal. I only have until November to pay off the car. It will accrue interest on everything that I spent. And so I am staying dedicated to making my credit card payments. And then on my other credit card that is just normal, will accrue interest, making the payments on that as well. Even though the balances are much smaller than they used to be, I'm paying it off and I'm not accruing interest. That is a non-negotiable for me. My last non-negotiable, of course, is bills. Making sure that the lights stay on, that the air conditioning is running, that I have groceries. My grocery budget has certainly gotten lean, mean, fighting machine, but That's okay, because it's just time to get resourceful. And I also know myself, and I know that the grocery store can become like a play place for me. So if that's the only thing in my budget that I don't put limits on, I'm gonna be coming out of the grocery store with makeup, lotion, skincare, fancy extra laundry supplements that I don't need. And it's like, girl, stick to the basics. Stick to the basics. So those are some things that I'm sticking with. Let's talk about how I stay positive and how I find joy in my financial journey paying off my debt. Because this journey is not about punishment and deprivation, it's about freedom, I've had to learn how to do things for free and find things for free to do here in Atlanta. So some of my favorite free or super low cost things to do, me and the library, we go together real bad. I love to read. I love to go to the library, find a new book or a couple books and bring them home and just launch into another place. The other thing I love about books, I'm not on my phone. And so that really enables me to just focus in on the experience and also be less likely to be targeted by ads and things that are going to have me impulse shopping. I'm also good for enjoying an outdoor workout. So walking in the trails, going to Pilates, or honestly just going and having a good dancing time are all great ways that I have found to just move my body and find joy for free. I also get a weekly email called Beltline Free Fitness, and it has daily classes in Atlanta all over the city, and there's at least 30 or more classes in there per week. And so if you live in Atlanta, definitely get signed up. If you don't live in Atlanta, check if your city's Parks and Recreation Department has anything similar that you can be taking advantage of, because your tax dollars are contributing towards it. Going to church is something that I love to do. It's not just the spiritual restorative practice for me, but it's also community. I see my friends there, I'm hanging out there. My church puts on events for young adults and different ministries, and so you're able to do lots of low-cost free activities. We had a picnic, we've had like Wildin' Out for Jesus night and all sorts of fun things. So I love that my church and lots of churches provide that. And I'll tell you a secret, you don't even have to be a member of a church to go to most of their programming. Like, check the specifics of what you want to attend, but for most churches, it's really open to all. So that is another free tip. And then movie nights with friends. So love to have my girls over, have some snacks, have some cookies, have some mocktails, cocktails, whatever we're doing, and just get to enjoy each other's company without the worries of getting dressed, dealing with parking, and all that nonsense. So listen, I want to be real with you guys. I do still spend money, but there are days that I want, that chai latte, or there's some moments where I might just need a little treat, or I see like a new lippy and I just have to have it. But when I do spend money, I keep it reasonable and I don't beat myself up about it. And as I mentioned, I try to use cash when I can so that I'm staying within a determined budget and not just spending whatever I want to spend. It's not about shame, but it's about building a relationship with money where I make intentional choices, not necessarily perfect ones. My goal is still to be completely debt-free by November 2025, and I'm determined to make that happen. So even if I hit that date a little bit early or a little bit late, what matters is that I stay consistent, that I stay hopeful, and that I keep moving forward and just working towards debt freedom. If you're on a payoff journey, you are not alone. So I'm cheering for you every step of the way, and if nobody else feels like they're paying off debt and trying to live differently and not just succumb to the overconsumption culture that we're a part of, you're not by yourself. Let me know in the comments what you guys are prioritizing right now, or what free activity that you're loving lately. Don't forget to like, share, comment with the video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. We're not just paying off debt, but we're building better lives, one decision at a time. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm going to continue to share this journey with you, and I cannot wait until the day I can come back here and tell y'all that I am debt free once again. I'll let y'all know when that big day arrives. All right, bye.